a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beautiful.
They know which one I'm talking to. Know what I'm talking about. Oh, well, you know, Mike B. They probably think I'm still saying Mike P or Mike B because they sound similar.
It's a time we take out the loved ones we lost and struggling.
I don't know, when I sit back, I can barely
I
see.
dedicate this to my brother Hollywood.
I just noticed that.
My dog Itchy and the Trail. I dedicate
There
this
you go,
to
that's good though.
everybody in the county. Check it out. Give it one for bad luck. Hell against it, wouldn't have none. But when I think about it, what would I be without my? How could I get away from the bulldozers if I couldn't run? How was I? Give it a thought. I would always pray for a son. Life is crazy, ain't it? Sometimes I even think the same thing. I've been waiting on freedom to read hell, but ain't a thing changed. I lost my brother in the struggle. Then I lost his mother. And I'm thinking if I lose mine, who will raise my brother? Not to be a thug, stay in school, don't use drugs. Who'll teach them right from wrong, show them boys true love. So I pray for the better days, face the bomb and the runaways. And I put my away and I pray for peace on Sundays. It's crazy,
just like the soldiers that ain't coming home this year, just like the fellas in prison. We miss you so much for real. What about the children who ran away? They ain't coming home today. What is a message from coast to coast? Cause when them thugs really need it the most, the thug holiday.
Just like all these killers and all these conflicts of religions, and the Muslims, Jews, and Christians. We know that we're all God's children. There's only one of him. Plus, ain't none of y'all confront him. We're so blind in our own mind, we wouldn't even know God or we confront him. And how rich in books know all your remixes to the Bible. What about a verse for the thugs, cured with drugs and survival? Let's ask some chapters named Mark, Malcolm, and Farrakhan. In all my history books, only one died was the Americans. And that's the point about who's responsible for Vietnam. Hold on, there's more. We had 2 world wars. And how come the judges make more than the teachers? They the one raising all the taxes. Got us fight for education. Life is crazy, ain't it?
So many tears throughout the years. Somebody tell me what's going on. And so many lies, but only God knows about the pain deep inside. It gets so hard. You gotta keep your head up, put your head up, but stay strong. Here's a message from coast to coast. Cause when them thugs really need it the most, the holiday.
Just like.
This is for my people in the ghetto. I'm calling out to all my thugs in the ghetto. Calling out, 'cause it gets hard sometimes, but you gotta keep your head up and be strong. Here's a message from coast to coast. 'Cause when the thugs really need it the most, the holiday.
Just like.
This is for my people in the ghetto. I'm calling out to all of my thugs in the ghetto. Can you hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All of my thugs from the ghetto. The song is dedicated to the ghetto.
It's official now. I'm going to cry.
Okay. Welcome to the We Us and Our show. I am your host, Michael Phelps from the We Us and Our community group. As I always state, that We Us and Ours is a group
about information. We talk about problems that's going on in our community, as well as solutions that we all can come together as a collective to possibly fix the current condition that we are in. As I stated before, my name is Michael Phelps from We Us and Our Community Group. I let the Kings introduce themselves.
Michael Barnes.
Ray Carlisle.
Okay, now can y'all please let us know if y'all can hear us to make sure that everybody can hear us. Today's topic.
Many spirits are like candles. Some are used to light up a room, and some are used just for decorations. Which one are you?
Well, when we think about candles, I think we got to kind of like make people understand that we all like candles. You know, there's candles that are active, that actually are the ones that got a lot of scars because they've been lit and they shifted because of what it's producing. It's producing something. It's producing light in a dark situation. So so that candle is actually putting in the work that needs to be done to bright up a dark room. Then you have the other candles who sit on tables, that sits on walls as monument or decorations. They serve a purpose too, but a lot of people we don't view it as instead of. It might be a vain way of looking at it, but they do serve a purpose. And so we're going to discuss the two different types of candles as individuals. Some of us might be the ones that are just there for decoration, and some of us might be the ones that actually being used. So when I hear people saying I got war rooms and all this stuff because they went through the fire and was tested, that's what I think of a candle that's been used. Now it depends on how you want to view that person's perspective of what they've been used as. Some might have been used in the wrong way. Some might have been used in the right way. But the purpose is that they've been utilized to get a full understanding of who they are, to know who they are. What is y'all take on just those two philosophies? We can start there first. The decorative candle and the candle that's being used.
Some people are NPCs. They're just here to fill up space. That's the difference between, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, and a lot of the people that were definitely around. Like, who knew Bernie Sanders was around Martin Luther King? He was an NPC at that time. And it wasn't his turn for his candle to burn where everybody should know those. Some people are just supposed to be non-playable characters in the video game that you maybe bump into today, but not tomorrow. In terms of the candles analogy.
So what is your thought?
Well, I mean, it depends on the use. I guess what comes to mind for me is that you have to just. I think the kind of candle you're going to be is. I think it's more based on your decision. Whether you want to be a candle that affects change, brings about change, or if you just want to be a decorative candle and just kind of hang in the background and just kind of just be there. But because I guess what comes to mind is sometimes you have just like when I think about parents are like that. Parents can be the kind of candles that affect change in their children. But then you also have passive parents that are more like decorations. They're there in a role as a parent, but they're not actually being parents. They're just kind of just hanging out. And so, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can spin that. Yeah. We talk about candles that are effective and candles that are ineffective. But then you said even though there's those candles that are ineffective, sometimes they're being ineffective. It's not necessarily that they're being ineffective. Sometimes they still have a use too, just like you said. Because sometimes a parent may not be as invasive with their child may give them a little bit more room and insert themselves when they need to. but they give them a little bit of room so that they can learn. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're being ineffective. You're being effective. You're just taking a different approach.
And different children are.
And different approaches require different kinds of lighting.
You know what I mean? So
right.
Every child don't require the same
light
structure or discipline.
Yeah.
Some you can give major. You have to give major discipline to. Some you can give minor discipline to.
Right.
It just depends on the child itself.
Right.
And that's what it kind of like teaches us down to a candle, because as candles are, they I always look at them as purpose servers. They serve a purpose.
Change your mind. Can't hear you. Change your mind.
Oh, I might. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you because of your proximity to us,
That's probably the problem right there. That's probably the mic I had last week.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Testing.
Yep.
Yeah, but
now.
So as we are what was I talking about? You threw me off.
Sorry. Gotta get more vocals in there.
Yeah. More so, like I was saying, candles are purpose servers. We purchase them. Now, some people buy them for many different reasons. Some people buy them just for the looks. Some people buy them because, okay, a light, it might be a storm and the light's gonna go out, and we rather have them than not have them.
Right.
Then you got those who say, you know what, I like this candle because it got the good smell to it, the fragrance to it. So you have three different type of concepts that people purchase them for. So if we looked at each three scenarios, we have to ask ourselves which one is us. Are you the one that just putting out good fragrances? Or are you the one that actually burns to help to be the light to guide others? Or are you just the decorative piece that lures people in to look at you? But and maybe that might be your way of being able to reach them too. I don't know which candle will you think you would be if you ask yourself.
Well, I mean, there's other. I know I'm not I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. So I know I'm not a decorative candle.
You said the same thing, right? You know decorative candle, right? Yeah, what about fragrance candle? They put out, someone put out strong.
Exactly. So sometimes my energy can be a little strong. So, yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying that's what I know about myself.
Yeah.
And that's what I've heard others say as well. So, I know that's probably the kind of candle that I am.
So you're the light bearer in the dark situation.
Right. I mean, I'm very much, if I'm speaking about myself, I'm very much a individual, meaning that I'm very much in the habit of my own mind. So no matter what environment that I'm in, I'm going to have my own mind. I'm going to think for myself.
Yeah.
That's me, but I haven't always been that way to an extent. I kind of had to learn that. You know, once you've kind of been abused a little bit, you learn to have your own voice and allow it to be heard. So with that being said, sometimes someone may be a candle that lights a room and not just a decorative piece. But because of the other candles that are in a room, they refuse to allow their light to shine.
That's weird.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where someone doesn't let your light shine, even though this is the kind of candle you are, they're trying to make you into something else that you're not.
Yeah. But what was some of the questions? I know there's some questions.
Yep. Questions. Okay. Question number 1: How do your light guide someone out of darkness? How would your light guide somebody out of darkness?
Oh my God! Really?
Well, you do it every day.
Yeah.
When people come to you and ask you to create an ideal for them, they in the dark of where their business wants to go. how they wanted to proceed, and your job is to be the light to guide them into the perspective of how they should put their logo together, how they should put their plan together, how they have a business. All that is the light.
Yeah. That's how I know that I know, because then you know you are what you are before you are announced as the thing that you are. You're it before. So before offering the service, I knew that that's what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before I even started telling anybody or whatever. And that's just the latest form. The form you're talking about extends back to 98 or 99. Whatever the idea that is in your head, I'm the person that translates that information into emotion. And then I know the software or the system to such an extent where I can put that emotion and make it visual. And then spread it all over everything, so that has to do with you, so that it sings the same song visually.
And the key part that I want to add to that is that at the process of doing all of those things for the client, there's the most important element in there that's called relationship. You build a relationship with them, and you build a rapport. So that right there translates into the light that guides, because now you're able to influence their life by the things that you're able to, your deeds and works that you're able to put in. You know what I mean? And so when I look at myself as a candle, I look at that candle as trying to be the beacon of hope in a hopeless situation, to the ungrateful as well for the willing. Because there's a lot of ungrateful people who might not respect your craft or respect what you do. But at the end, I don't look for them to shine, to dull my light, because they don't have the power to dull. I don't give them power to dull my light. I always look for the higher power to pull that source out for me. Because if I looked at everybody else, and everybody else has this to say, have that to say, 1 minute they praise you 1 minute, and they'll turn on you in the split of a second. And you still have to shine no matter what. You have to shine no matter what. And that's what I like about candles. No matter what, how dark, how thick the darkness is, it's going to shine if you allow it to. As long as there's oxygen in the room, it's going to be able to put out and radiate the light that it needs to give.
But sometimes, and I know there's people out there who feel this way, some people feel smothered in the presence of others. So when you talk about, now you're talking about a lack of oxygen in the room, which smothers out their light. Which doesn't allow their candle to burn.
And that's why I put that piece in there so someone can come in. I'm glad you brought that, you figured that out. I thought he was going to probably bring it out before you did, but I'm glad you brought it out. But people do smother and take the oxygen out the room, which causes the light to start to dimmer out. But as us being light bearers, we're supposed to know when that's happening. As what happened once before when we was talking about the picnic. When I realized my light was about to go out, I had to pull away and get with you so I can get better oxygen to keep that light burning. People don't want to acknowledge when something is going on, where they have to shape shift. Right. Like a candle, it has to shape shift too. It doesn't stay the same once you light it. It starts to look deformed, it starts looking ugly. It doesn't look like the candle you bought. That's how our lives are supposed to be.
Well, the beautiful thing is about candles, though, is that you can use one candle to light another one. So even if you don't have, let's say you don't have another match, or another lighter one or whatever the case may be, but all it takes is one lit candle, which can light every other candle in the room that needs lit.
That's powerful. And a lot of people don't know that you can light other people. Like Tupac said, if I can just ignite the spark to create change, then let that spark be the thing that I'm able to give. He didn't say he was going to light it. He said, I just want to initiate the spark. You know what I mean? And so that's just powerful, just within those words. A lot of us don't realize that the power that we have within us. Even when I was watching some videos and I was sharing some videos with little children, and it was this little girl, she was mimicking her mom, and she kept saying the word "be."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Where'd you learn that from?" "I learned it from you, Mom."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother then she was like, "No, you didn't hear it. You say it all the time, every morning."
Mm-hmm.
And so she didn't realize that the light that she was shining, or the thing that she was using it for, it was igniting that little girl. That little girl seeing the same thing, and it was mimicking what she was saying. And the mother was like, she couldn't believe that she heard it from her, because she didn't acknowledge that she was doing it every morning. And this is why you have to be careful with your light, because people are going to always tell you what kind of light you have. You can have there's many colors of lights. You know, there's that bright white, there's that yellowish white, and there's that blue light. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's that reddish orange looking light. You know, so there's many lights, and that depends on the gases that it produces. You know what I mean? Lights they go off the gases. So what is your take? You look like you ready to say something?
No, I was just thinking about the fact that, like what y'all was saying a second ago, about how somebody could suck the
Oxygen.
Oxygen out the room, yeah.
There's some situations where you just overwhelm other people if you are the light. You are that light.
Mm-hmm.
And
My,
I was just recounting.
I was about to say, you're talking like this, and I'm barely
Yeah.
I'm barely being able to understand you, so they might be struggling too.
So there's some people that burn so bright that they overwhelm the other people that's around them.
Hmm.
And this is where you get to talk about tribes and find your tribe and all this, because the people that you're interacting with may not be the people that you're meant to shine with, right? So I get that sometimes when I'm, for example, sometimes I'll talk about a business concept or something, and it just flies over the head of the people that I'm sitting in front of.
Mm-hmm.
The common response is, "Oh, you think you know it all?" But to me, I think I'm talking normal. I think I'm just saying something that's just a throwaway. But in that scenario, if there was a time period where I had to figure out that maybe I'm just like, and they don't realize that I think that that's normal.
Mm.
I didn't know that I was the person that was shining too bright in that moment. So I was just thinking back to that. That's why I was sitting there quiet.
Well, sometimes, when you bring that up, sometimes it's like being in school. There was always that one kid in the classroom. Teachers, like, they don't give anybody an opportunity to answer questions. Their hand is just constantly bam, 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 bam. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And no one else can learn anything because they're constantly bam, bam, bam with the answer. And it's like,
Okay, Jeopardy.
and sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they teach you in any speech class. You got to know your audience.
You gotta know your demographics.
And know your demographics, you know your audience, because when you realize who you're dealing with, then as someone who's teaching, as someone who's in a leadership role, you adjust
Yes.
to the demographics.
Yeah.
You
it ain't that your light is shining. It's just that means you have to dim your light a little for others, because sometimes like they were saying when Christ when God comes, they say his light so bright that and Jesus came with the light that everybody can see him in.
Right.
Because if he would have came in his full glory, we would never acknowledge it.
Right.
So we have to
like that.
Yes.
You can be like that.
Yes.
You can be like that in a particular field. You can be like that in a particular genre. You can be like that on a particular topic.
It's just like, you're just like somebody who's a professional in a particular field.
Yeah.
And they're speaking to unprofessionals.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you've got to get rid of some of that jargon and speak on their level so that they can comprehend what it is that you're trying to say.
Yeah, doctor's terms.
You're right. And if you talk,
you be like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, because if you're a doctor and you're speaking to a room of doctors, well, then no problem.
Yeah.
But if you're speaking to
a client,
you're speaking to a room of people who are not doctors, then you're gonna have to break that down for them to be able to digest it.
Yes.
So that and that's just and maybe sometimes, because I know sometimes I got to be careful of that sometimes. I try not to be like that, but
let me read. Okay, Randa said hello. Then she says parents are too busy trying to be their kids' friends. Then she said parents are too busy trying to be their kids' friends. She said it twice. It came up twice on my thing.
That's fire, because that's absolutely true.
Yes.
The separation between adult and child has become so blurred, and it's one of those effects that I attribute to the fact that the population has exploded a little bit. And we don't see it, and we're not really conscious of it every single day because we are seeing things through our own eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that there are more people walking around means that the culture is sharing information differently today than we used to before. The baby boomers is where it started, and then all those people's kids, and now these people's kids, which is like our kids,
Mm-hmm.
they are having babies now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of freaking people walking around. And how do you deal with that as a parent or now as like say a young grandparent? But to do the easiest things, which is to be friendly with them. But I think we get it messed up when you try to
You blur the boundaries.
Yeah, you can be friendly with them, but that doesn't mean that you have to be their friend in order for them to be a good person. See?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I mean, the way I describe it is like you make room for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing wrong with making room for your child, but you're still the teacher.
Yeah.
And you gotta that has to always be understood that you're the teacher, but you make room for them to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you lower yourself to their level, then you're a pupil just like they are,
Yes.
and they talk to you just like you're a pupil
Mm-hmm.
instead of a teacher.
Yes. And what was the next one?
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Is your light more than light? If so, can you provide the necessary heat to warm a situation?
Which you just kind of like touched on it a little bit. Within that scenario, there's always like hostile. Like say if you're in a family or community event or a situation where you're trying to put on things to try to keep to try to bring awareness for growth in the family or in the community. There's always going to be hostile people coming. You know, there's always going to be different types of people that come. There's going to be people that come because, you know, they come in and they might be alleviated with substances or they might have a problem with somebody or you always got to be aware that these things are going to happen. And we have to always be bipartisan to each individual because we don't want to take side. We have to look for the truth in the situation and then shine the light on the truth and not to shine the light on the evil. Because see, like now we're taking our light, we shine it on the evil and making evil look like it's good.
Yeah.
Well,
we doing it. That's a lot of what's going on right now.
Well, I'll say this: where there's disagreement, whether it's because of misunderstanding, misinformation, whatever it is, and I always metaphorically say you can't address the weed from above ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got to get to the root of the issue.
Yes.
And the only way that you're going to get to the root of the issue is to allow a person or people to be heard. Again, it goes back to communication.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to not taking sides because I got a better relationship with this one or not with this one or whatever the case may be. Because like you said, you side with truth. So, but you look for that, and then as you're siding with truth, the way you address that, you have to be careful how you address it.
Yes.
So as not to sound accusatory, judgmental, or even biased.
Yes.
Because once a person or persons feels that you're being biased, then your ability to be able to influence them is dead in the water.
That's such a delicate balance.
Yeah.
You say something at all, then you said some of the conditions right there. How you said, what you said, the inflection, the volume.
So imagine if we had when it's time for us to deal with that type of scenario, and we had a light on top of our head, and every time we went to talk to them, we used the wrong word. The light started dimming to give us an indicator that we're using the wrong words or the choice of action.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, but see,
but there is.
But here's the reality, though. There is a light.
Yes.
Okay, it may not be on top of your head, but it's in a reflection of the person that you're talking to.
And that's why
Their nonverbals will tell you everything.
And that's the reason why I'm saying this, because I wanted. I'm just using that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it that way, because see, now we get to see a different picture. But I just put that up there so I'm glad you brought that to the table, because that's what we have to do. Pay attention to people, personality. Just like if you sitting there trying to talk to somebody, when you trying to educate them, you could be using the biggest words or all the religious words, and the person is docile. They're not even hearing you, and you got to catch on to that. Mm-hmm. Some people don't even catch on. They just keep ratting on, like someone's really getting the message, mm-hmm. and they really thought they gave them something, mm-hmm. and they really didn't give them nothing, because you didn't even pay attention to the person you're talking to, because like you said, you're talking, but they're not listening.
Because they checked out.
They checked out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's important to understand what a light is and why lights are important in any situation. You know, the light has got to be, it has to be established as a tool of goodship and hardship, because it's going to have to go into the most darkest situation. It's going to have to go into where it might be low bearing. It might have low oxygen. It might be in so many different areas, but you need that light to get through. It might be on alkaline batteries where the batteries are not fully charged. Mm-hmm. And you got to use this light. You got a long ways to go. And that light, you don't know how much time you got for that light to go out, because the batteries are not holding the charge. You got to think of stuff like that. And that's what we're dealing with when we talk about light amongst each other. We have to think about that. Sometimes our battery is not fully charged when we're talking to certain people.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't. And what I kind of use this, it's almost like driving down the street and somebody got their bright lights on coming towards you.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't run into a room with your bright lights going, because you're blind people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you gotta know when you're going into oncoming traffic that you gotta turn your lights down.
Yes.
And when you come into a situation that might become confrontational, if you even have an indication that it might go into, unless you know for a fact that you have a real good relationship with this person, you might want to consider turning your light down a little bit and be mindful of your approach, so that you can get further with them. Mm-hmm. So that it's like you were talking about, you may not know how much time you have with this person. You may not know how much light source that you have. So you have to proceed with caution and reserve your energy along the way, because you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know how long you're going to have that person's ear when talking to them. So therefore, you want to be mindful how you approach.
Yes. And it's almost like when you're talking to people when they in that realm when they're hostile and they're not, it's almost like a check engine light.
Annoying check engine light.
You know what I mean? And they want to cover it up. And the problem with the check engine light is it's multiple problems. You don't know what the problem is. You can assume it could be a sensor. You can assume it could be oil. You can assume it could be something just minute that your gas cap ain't even tight.
Mm. You need a code reader for that.
You know what I mean? Right. So you have to put this thing in to read the code. And sometimes, as us being light bearers, we have to put in the code thing to read the code of what's going on in the person's life or in our own life. How can we help somebody when we're going through something? Because sometimes what you're going through might reflect in your light. Your light might be coming out, supposed to be bright white when it's coming out blue, and it's burning everything around you up. It's saturating everything. So sometimes you have to know.
That's a good question. How do you help other people when you need help?
Well,
eventually you kind of master certain things that you were either exposed to or that you're inclined to already do. Like, we all master walking. This is why we get to grow up and walk around and run and things like that. Well, if your skill set exposed you to a particular type of job that's not your favorite things to do, practice is going to make perfect in that environment. And so, say that now that job goes away, that title goes away, and then somebody needs the help that you had that was associated with that job, you're still going to be able to help them, even if you need help with something yourself. Because now it's just muscle memory. They just, oh, okay, that's what you needed? Oh, okay, I'm glad I could help. Meanwhile, in your head, you're screaming, I need help about this thing.
Well, yeah, but a mature person would do that.
Yeah.
In their head.
An immature person will say, well, since nobody's helping me, I'm not helping anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Depends on, because bitterness can get in the way of your willingness to help somebody else.
Or they would get in there and steer somebody wrong.
Yes.
Because they bitter.
You
know, I never understood how that worked.
It just depends on the maturity level. You know,
like
all of us is not as mature as we think. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, some people you can drive down the street, you see a person in a nice car, nice home, and nice that, you'll think that they're the most maturest person in the world. And find out, if you sit down and have a conversation, you find out how immature they are. Or you can find out how lack of self-confidence they have. You know what I mean? And some people buy stuff to make themselves look like they're healed. They got it all together, and they don't. And so this is why I say this is another thing about understanding the light too. You got to understand those lights too, because there's lights out there that's manipulated lights. They're not real lights. They can manipulate you to believe that they're light.
I'm kind of still on that point. Because I really don't understand how people behave like that.
Well, you don't understand how people can be vindictive?
Yeah, no, like bitter. Huh. Like, because nobody helped me, helped me during my.
Oh, well, there's a lot of them out there.
Well, I mean, okay, but think about it. Think about it like this. That's how generational curses are passed down. The exact same way. It's because somebody was hurt, so now they're hurting other people because they were hurt. No one came to my aid. No one protected me. It's like a mother that tells her daughter that she's a liar when her daughter comes to her and tells her that her mama's new boyfriend's touching her. Mm-hmm. Okay, and maybe uncle or whoever was touching mom, and no one ever believed her. So now she turned around, she ain't gonna believe her daughter when her daughter comes to her and tells her the same thing. No, you know, or some people say, and you've heard them say it. Well, I had to figure it out, so you figure it out.
Oh man, I hate that line.
You see what I mean? It's the same thing.
Figure it out.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. That's that bitterness talking.
Yes. And unconscious bitterness.
Yeah.
Some of it's conscious and some is unconscious. Some things are done unconsciously and some things are done consciously. Some people don't understand what they're doing when they're doing this. Like that little girl when she said, "Mom," she kept saying the word "beat," and then her mom said, "No, where'd you hear that from?" And she said, "From you." And she told her mom it was from you. And she said, "When I never," she said, every morning. She told her a particular time. She told her who she heard it from. And she kept saying the word after the fact because she said, "Well, you said so it's okay for me to say it." And this girl was only 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And I'm just telling you that sometime unconsciously she might not even know she was saying that. She might have, probably was talking to her homegirls on the phone. Maybe she was using the word there, and didn't think her daughter was around.
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier, Mike, about be careful how you use your light. Mm-hmm. It goes right back to that because your light affects others. Yes. Your light or lack thereof affects others. If you choose to live a life of depression with a very dim light, you're going to pass that along to your children. If you live a very bright light, a light that believes in education, a light that believes in being a go-getter, a light that believes in learning and all that stuff, you're going to pass that along to your children.
Yes.
It's all in the kind of light that you choose to bear, because that light, someone looking up to you is going to be able to benefit of, because your light is going to light their light. Your light is going to light their wick.
And this is the truth. This is the truth incident that happened just over the weekend. We are all having a good time. Everybody kicking it. They said, "Well, I wanted to get towed back tonight." And I'm like, "What you mean by towed back?" "Oh, I'm getting towed up today." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "Well, why you want to get towed up? To a point where you can't stand, someone has to drive you home, you be throwing up." I said, "Why do all that?" I said, and I told the person, I said, "Look," I said, "We up on the top of the hill. I see all them little cows down there. You want to run down and try to get them all." I said, "Why don't we just walk down and drink slowly and enjoy ourselves. Why get told back?
Mhm.
I was using the color purple, the Colors movie thing, but I use it in a different format. I said, we don't got to run down there and get drunk. Why don't we just walk? Why don't we just 6 sips and just enjoy each other's company, have a good conversation? I said because I said I can't afford to run down there and lose everything that I gained in the extra hours that I got people trusting in me because they know that I'm not gonna make bad decisions. I try not to make bad. I ain't gonna say I don't make bad decisions.
Right.
I try not to make bad decisions.
Mhm.
I said, but I am aware of who I am, and I know the position that I hold, and I know the power that that's given to me from the Heavenly Father. I'm not going to allow myself to get out of place or out of character because someone wants to go down this road of just over intoxicating themselves just to have fun. That's not fun to me. But that's what people think. But that's why I'm kind of glad that I was in that light at that time to share that with that person. And that person said, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought about it. Oh man, yeah, because I ain't leaving my car. Okay, then so why would you put yourself in that predicament?
Mm-hmm.
But those are the things sometimes your light has to shine in that most darkest area, even though you might feel outnumbered. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you feel outnumbered because everybody around you is talking, oh man, you're right, man, you're right. And then you have to be the bearer of bad news in a situation. So that's not the right choices that we should make because we got kids around, we got this, we doing it. We got to still uphold a composure of ourselves as men. We got to do this not for us, for them, and eventually for ourselves. Because if we don't think about ourselves, at least we're putting the kids first.
So basically, you're saying, in a nutshell, bear your light responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a jackass.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but I'm talking. But see, this is where education come in at too. This is where you educate, and this is where your faith really, really is tested, because you have to know your faith. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people don't know faith; they just know what they believe, what they heard. I go off of what I know. I try to know something before I say something. Mm-hmm. I don't want to prematurely and immaturely teach something if I ain't been through it or going through it. And I want to make sure everybody understands. If I say what I'm saying is that I'm trying to practice it myself. Mm-hmm. And I try to live by what I practice. Mm-hmm. Ever since you've been knowing me, I've been the same character. I haven't switched up and changed or nothing.
Preparation for good performance the whole time.
You hate when I say that. I said, because he used to get mad when I used to say, well, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I used to say that to him all the time.
5 P's and 3 M's and 7 I's and 32 X's.
Well, he heard him too, so it ain't like y'all ain't the only one. But they used to get mad when I used to say that, because they always thought that I always use that every time we do. I said, well, this is the formula I live by. This is my formula. Every day I wake up, I live by the 5 P's, I live by the 3 C's, I live by the 5 W's. This is my formula. So when I deal with any situation head on, the first thing that goes in my head, I see formulas going through. So therefore, I make the right decision. I try not to make bad decisions. I'm not saying I have not made them. I'm not saying I'm not going to make them. I'm just saying I try not to.
Right.
I live in an imperfect world, in an imperfect body, trying to strive for perfection. That's how I look at it.
Trying to hang on to your light without it burning out.
Yes, trying to. And using the right kerosene, gas, the oil.
You don't use kerosene.
Blow some up. I'm talking about the ones that using them lanterns. Yeah. But I learned by, lights because I learned by gases. Certain gases put out different lights.
Yeah.
And so we have to understand that certain gases, that many of us are different gases.
Yeah.
And sometimes when someone is upset, very angry, what kind of gas you think they're? They have that red tank, that blue tank, and yellow tank.
Yeah.
So which one are them?
You got me. I would call it.
Well, that red tank is flammable. It's explosive.
Extremely.
That's
high.
Extremely flammable. The red tank.
The blue tank is
blue tank is more. I think it's more neutral.
It's real neutral. The yellow tank is
tank. It means you need to be aware.
Yes.
that is possibly flammable.
Yes.
But that red tank is the one you definitely got to be aware of.
Yeah. So so you got to remember, and it heats up faster, and he heats up faster too. Each tank, each color coordination heats up faster. So red heats up faster than blue. Blue heats up faster than yellow. So yellow heats up faster than blue. Blue is your lowest gas.
Right.
But you have to know these things when you're welding and all this stuff like that. And so now you know.
Lowest level of combustion. Yes. What you're saying.
So,
but those are like people.
Like people.
When you're dealing with people, you fill them out, especially when you're dealing with somebody you don't know.
Yes.
Fill them out first and see what you can and cannot say.
Mm-hmm.
If you start seeing, if you say certain things, you start seeing them heating up, and you know, because they'll start giving you indicators. Some people buck their eyes. Some people start turning away from you. You know, some people say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" You can tell when they get a little sensitive about something. You're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I need to make an adjustment." That tells you, okay, I need to make an adjustment. But some people proceed anyway because they don't care about making no adjustment.
Yes.
So now they become a repellent. Because they don't care nothing about being making no adjustments.
What number were we on? We were on number 2 or 3? 3.
We're on 3. Since you're being used to fulfill a purpose, why does your shape change?
Good. We're talking about when the candle is lit.
Mm-hmm.
It could be oval, it could be a heart, it could be whatever, a hand, it could be an angel, it could be whatever. Once it's lit, you see either the head of the angel start to dissipate, or you'll see the candle start taking different shapes and form.
So what was the question again?
Oh, I love this question. Since you're being used to fulfill a purpose, why does your shape change?
And that could be your perspective or your personality, everything. Because when you deal with certain people, everything starts to your shape shifts, changes. Everything changes about you because everybody doesn't bring the best out of you sometimes, or sometimes certain people bring the best out of you. True, and then some people bring the worst out of you, or some people bring a part where you just say, you know what, I disconnect.
I put it this way. When I think about that question, what comes to mind is that every candle, no matter what candle you light, you can light 2 candles that look exactly the same, and they're going to burn differently.
Yes.
They're not going to shape shift the same way, meaning each and every one of us brings a unique flavor to a situation.
Yes.
And you have to know your flavor and then get to know someone else's flavor in order to know whether or not they mix or how to mix them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't think I'm tracking Kundalini. I'm not tracking candles and fumes and gases. I'm tracking red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Red, orange, stomach. No, orange,
chakra.
Yellow belly. Green, heart. Blue, throat. Purple, mind. And the same concepts are there.
Say that again and say it loud. I want to make sure people hear what you're saying.
Yeah, the Kundalini judges there's certain qualities and there's frequencies associated with each color. So the rainbow ain't red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple for no reason. Depending on even sometimes down to the color that you're wearing during the day can channel that part of your existence. So
personality, yeah.
Yeah, or not necessarily personality, but you can, like for example, I'm channeling love because I'm wearing green. So if somebody sees me, they're gonna feel more at ease. And if they check my temperament, then they get a taste of my personality. They'll see that I'm easy to get along with, and blah blah blah, easy to love, right? These are things that are associated with the green chakra, which is the heart chakra. It's also pink, but it depends on who you're talking to. But anyway, so red is the root. Orange is the sacral. Yellow is the belly, yellow belly. Green is the heart. Blue is the throat, and then
purple.
Purple is the pineal associated with that. It checks out that if you check each one of these frequencies, and then you do certain things, you line up with that color. You line up with that frequency. You line up with that behavior. So if somebody's being a jackass for some silly reason, maybe they're young or they just want to have fun or whatever, they're going to be channeling red. And 9 times out of 10, if you look at their clothes, they're usually wearing the color that's associated with the stupid shit they're doing. It's hilarious. So I can't track it with the candle metaphor. I can track it with Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that's why tribes took on colors as their symbols?
I think that we had this stuff down to a science. Then something happened, and there was either a break between the culture that knew it and the culture that doesn't know it, or something. But then after we reemerged, we didn't remember it anymore.
Mm.
And so you'll have the red tribe. They'll be awesome. They'll be cannibals or killers or rapists or conquerors or something because they're channeling that. They don't know they're channeling that root. Low frequency human energy. Yeah.
So even like what we just named off the lights, I mean the flames, we had red flame, blue flame, yellow flame, and red and blue flame. It was red.
Yeah, it matched up.
You know, and they all have different temperatures, various, and they all different flame, different on how they catch flame. They all catch flame. They're all flammable, but one is more extreme than the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at the extremes when we're talking about these things. We're talking about, and those things produce different lights.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the lights and the people, and you brought in the colors with the lights. So they all are understanding that we have to understand what light a person is in, what type of color, what kind of. If I walk up to you, but you're a meth tank, I'm looking at you, I'm like, that must be a red meth tank, because he's hot. He's ready to explode at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
If I say the wrong thing, it's going to be flammable and it's going to consume everything around me. So I have to make sure I'm able to deal with this person in accordance on what I know. If I took the time to know, because sometimes people don't take the time to know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like being a thermometer. You know, yeah. You gauge people when you're talking to them, and I mean, it's something I do all the time. You know, you're multitasking. You're not just going by what they're saying. You're going by all of their body language, because all of it's telling you something. If you're talking to somebody and they're constantly doing this, well, there's nervousness there. You know, tapping their foot. Okay, you know, hey, they're excited or either they're
afraid.
Yeah, I mean, there's something there, right? Person keeps looking around. Okay, well, man, what you concerned about? You know, but what I'm saying is that, if a person starts falling asleep, okay,
that's what it be more for me.
you be talking, there.
I'll be like,
you know, it's like, okay. Either I'm putting them to sleep, they didn't get much sleep last night.
You lost them.
I'm dragging this out, I lost them. They didn't checked out. You know, all of that. I mean, but what I'm saying is they're indicators, because like, okay, and what that tells me is, okay, I need to adjust something. I may need to adjust something. Okay, now it may not be me, it may be them. If they didn't get sleep last night, they didn't get sleep last night. But if I make an adjustment and they're still, and then I make another adjustment and they're still, then I have to. Then it's almost like it's like
formally tap out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's just like when you're trying to fix something. You know, you try several things. It's okay, I'm gonna try this. Oh, that's not working. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Oh, that's not working. Oh, this works. Okay, let's stay with that. You know, and that's when you care enough. It's, you know, there's this book. Oh, I forgot the guy's name. I think his last name is Osberger. But it's talking about he uses the concept of carefronting. And, you know, there's a difference when confronting. When you confront somebody, well, you know, that's more volatile, right? When you carefront, you confront with a concern for the relationship, which is the reason why it's called carefronting.
Compassion, using more compassion. Compassion as you move forward.
So you when you address something with somebody, you address them out of, you care enough about the relationship to address this thing with them, so that the relationship can flourish.
Yeah.
But if you confront them, then you're accusatory, judgmental, you know, and then all that does is ignite. Now you're talking that red again. You see, and that's what we want to stay away from. We want to stay away from igniting, because, like I said, you come in with your light, you come in with your lit candle, right? into a combustible room, what do you think is going to happen?
It's going to be an explosion. It's going to be an explosion.
You see what I mean?
That's funny too. You can clock where they're at.
Yeah.
I'll be doing that sometimes. I won't say anything, but I'm doing it in my head. I'm going up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yep.
Hey,
Because their word choice and
word-
everything
hey,
is indicators.
Hey, you know what? There was a time where it was funny because it's always a time where you'll run into that. I got called one time, and it was an address of a concern that they heard what happened, but they didn't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they called, the mindset that they came with was, if I see what I think I heard, then it's going to be some problems.
Yeah.
And I'm like, me in my mental state, I have to sit back and assess what happened before that call. So I'm like, okay, so I see what that conversation was like. And I could have took it personal, but I didn't. I just sat back and allowed a situation. So I said, you know what? This is the time where I cannot allow my light to be dim. I have to let it shine. And so what I said, so well, you just go take your time and go watch what you said, what you thought you heard, and see what you're actually going to see, and then call me back. And then when those persons called me back, they're like, oh man, you was right, man. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. But you ain't got to apologize for nothing, because there was nothing. I never took it offense. I already understood I already knew what was happening before you even called me.
Mm-hmm.
So proper preparation prevents poor performance. You know what I mean? So my light shined to dole out the situation, because I could have just went hostile, and it wasn't going to serve no purpose for neither one of us. So you have to know these things as you moving forward, because a lot of times we get so caught up in self. We get caught up on how we feel. Sometimes you got to be selfless, not selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are selfless. We don't care about nobody else.
Oh no, that's selfish.
I mean, selfish. We be selfless. I like to be selfless.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be selfish, because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't care about other people's feelings or other people's things. Because everybody's entitled to have an opinion.
Right.
Everybody.
And 100%. And that's where a lot of times where disagreement enters.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's because okay, you want me to understand your point of view, but you ain't even trying to understand mine.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to hear you, but you're not even trying to hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we talk about how oxygen for one person is sucked out the room,
Mm-hmm.
and their light is snuffed out, while your light is burning bright as can be. and they're like, well, I don't want any of your light. I'd rather sit here with a wick that's not lit than to sit there and allow you to take a light from you. It's like, back in the day where a man might offer a woman a light, hey, let me light that for you, and she said, no, that's all right, I got my own light.
Well, she knew because she thought there was a hidden agenda behind it.
Exactly. And sometimes there was. Yeah. There was. And that's the thing. So it's those kind of things that. So what am I saying? What you just said was a good point. That, you have to engender trust with people.
Yes.
In order for them to allow you into that space.
Yeah.
Because if they don't trust you, they're not gonna let you in that space.
Yeah. And that's true. Because it's hard to multitask. Because your light got to be able to spread out not amongst this crowd. It has to spread. Sometimes it has to leap over a pond to get over and light up another situation.
Right.
So you over here, and then there's a barrier right here.
Right.
And you got to figure out how to get over there and light up over there too.
Right.
That's the fundamental part about light. It's able to jump or leap over and light another candle from across the way. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to light across other state lines, other counties, other cities, to help others see beyond themselves.
Well, that's what we call transcending barriers.
Yes.
Trying to get beyond perceived barriers that may be in the way of allowing that light to reach the other side.
Yes.
Um,
And Facebook has been killing our aberrant. They've been doing a lot of stuff to stop that light from going over across the barriers because they know if this light ignites over there, then it's going to night. Then they're going to be able to jump somewhere else, jump to another one, and night over there. Then over, then all of a sudden you got a collective of people coming, a body of people coming together from all over, saying, okay, we must do this. It's in our best interest. It's for us. They don't want that. They don't want that we, us, and our mindset. They like that I, me, and mine mindset. And we got to change that amongst us as we sit here every day talking about these subject matter. These subject matters is not just about us.
No, it's definitely not about us.
That's another little angle I never really understood. I don't think I was ever given an opportunity to be selfish. And so now I have fundamental problems with it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can be self-centered. The concept escapes me. Like, I'll get the gist of it. Oh, that person just wants to do things that only they like. But that's foggy as fuck. I don't get it. I don't understand how it works, or I don't even understand how it's beneficial.
Well,
to the
I mean,
person that's
what makes people, I believe, of course, this is my opinion. I believe that what makes people selfish is their inability to shine, or not. I don't want to say inability. I want to say that the fact that they weren't allowed to shine,
or a lack of their understanding of their own traumas.
Right. And so people, when they finally do shine, they take full advantage and they go full throttle with it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like it's like someone in the desert who had no water, right? And they've been out there a long time and water's looking real good right now. Now, we have access to water, so water to us is not a big deal. Somebody in the desert who's been out there for a long time, or even days at a time without water, okay? It's even a drop of water, even if they can get that from a cactus or a bug, any kind of juice or anything like that, they're gonna go for it, right? They're gonna go full throttle. You see what I'm saying? But for someone who's used to having it, to them it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, it's just water, right? Yeah. To us, we're like, man, it's just water. But to someone who's in a desert, who's had to go without water for a really long time, to them, it's life or death.
And you know,
if that makes sense.
And the sad part, it don't even take that long. It just takes a incident that could happen. Just like look at the movie Alive.
Mm-hmm.
They plane crashed over in the mountains.
Oh yeah,
over the cold,
and
they had to survive.
Yeah.
They was going to do things that no one else was going, that they didn't think they ever would do.
Right.
Eat each other.
Yes.
To survive. So when people said, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, you don't know what you're going to do. Because in the midst of all that, you're going to, one thing, a light going to kick in, and it's going to tell you what you need to do to survive.
Right.
And what you're going to do is going to be the most things that you lack respect. When people say they don't eat pig, don't eat pork, watch when something happens. And there's nothing but pigs around them.
They're trying to hide the fact they're eating pork.
Yeah.
They're eating pork.
Yeah, they eating the booty from
the rooter to the tutor.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So it just when I listen to people,
still doesn't. The desert analogy it doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
In terms of selfishness. I don't understand what that
is.
When someone's been made to go without, okay?
It doesn't make you selfish.
Because you said
you need something.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is they become desperate. They go to the extreme with it. Okay? It's like,
well, tell them about how they get selfish in the process of going to the extreme. They step on others to get where they want to go.
Where they want to go. Because it's been done to them. Okay? No one allowed me to shine. So I'm not going to allow anybody else to shine. It's like, we were just talking about it earlier.
I don't really have problems with this.
We were just talking about it earlier. Okay? We says, well, no one did it for me, so I'm not doing it for you. Okay? So no one cared enough about me So what do I need to? Why should I care about others? There's people who will actually say those words.
Yeah.
Okay, it's and you hear that and you're like, wow, you're really selfish. But then you have to ask yourself, or you have to you have to step into their shoes. Okay, that's where compassion comes in. No, I mean empathy. Empathy comes in, and you say, hey, you walk in their shoes, and you understand why they are where they are because of their journey.
Their environment.
But if you don't understand their journey, you will never understand their mindset. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. I get that component of it. I think you can't teach experience. What I think it is. I think I might be going into a space where it might be necessary for me to be, but I have no concept of it. I don't think I was ever given the opportunity to be selfish. I always had a person to watch over, some shit to share with someone else. And even like as a single person, there was still somebody I was teaching or coaching or giving stuff away to all the time, every time. I really I don't get it. I hear it, I know what the words mean, I can go like that and connect them together.
But you've never experienced it. So that's why you're having a hard time comprehending it, because you never experienced it.
What kind of cloud is that?
Well,
but you're able to identify someone who's selfish.
Yes.
Okay. So why is it that you're able to identify someone selfish if you can't comprehend it?
Well, I had emotional investment in her.
Oh, you're talking about okay. Okay, you're talking about a situation. That's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah,
there's a different connection. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, those were, to identify selfishness in that situation is like, okay, there's an obvious lack of care for me, where I obviously am not lacking in my care for her, right? I didn't have the lack, so I didn't understand that. So it still befuddled me, but I was like, oh, that's not like me.
Yeah. Well, now you're talking about perceptions.
No, it was selfishness.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is, and the reason why I say that, from your point of view, you say, well, I didn't lack anything. I got it. Okay. I was good. I was everything you needed me to be. Okay. Now, flip side to the other side. You ask that other person, well, no, you weren't here. You weren't there. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. In your mind, I did that. Okay. But in their mind, no, you didn't do that. Not the way I needed you to do it. Okay. You may have did it according to your standard, not according to my standard. That's what I mean by perception.
That's a narcissist. That's clearly a narcissist.
Well,
you did it, but you didn't do it how I needed
get the fuck out of here, jackass. Well, a narcissist, narcissist only sees their way of thinking.
Yeah.
But that just because someone has a preference for how they like things to be done or how they like to be taught doesn't make them a narcissist. Okay, that means they value themselves enough to make it be known how they like to be approached or how they like to be dealt with. That's not someone who's a narcissist. Now, if they fail to even want to consider
or communicate that,
then that's a narcissist. Okay, but someone who's trying to communicate that, just because you don't agree with them, doesn't make them a narcissist.
No, failure to communicate doesn't determine narcissism or not. They can communicate just like fine.
Well, what I'm saying is, if a person can't see anybody else's point of view but their own,
sure,
like you're saying, they're selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That can be deemed as a narcissist, someone who refuses to see any other way. Now, if you can consider other people's ways, but yet you say, hey, but this is how I like to be treated, or this is how I communicate, or whatever the case may be, that's a person who values themselves. That's not a person who doesn't value themselves. Because oftentimes what we run into is that our value is in the hands of somebody else. They determine what our value is. Okay? So when person's value is in the hands of somebody else, that relationship is volatile because your value is in their hands and not in your hands. So if you communicate to somebody, hey, I like to be talked to this way. Okay, well, I don't like to be yelled at. And maybe you're the kind of person who's like, well, I don't think I'm yelling at you. Okay. But they think that you are. Okay. You're raising your voice at me, or you're taking a tone with me. Okay. In their minds, you're yelling at them.
And let me give you in another scenario is think about the old fashioned light bulbs. You have this what they call bright light. I mean not bright light. They call it a smooth light.
Right.
It's like a yellow light. Then you automatically transfer over to the LED.
Okay.
You see the difference between the mentality and the mindset. One is brighter than the other one. The other one takes less energy compared to the old one. The other one took a lot to charge that light, and it made your electric bill go higher. So then they came up. with this LED. So then they came up with these LEDs, which is brighter and light up a room more, but it takes less energy.
Yeah.
It's almost like that scenario y'all were just talking about. You just got to look at it from that perspective. Some people just have. Some people just have a
selfishness and narcissism.
Yeah, and some people just have a yellow.
It's not that thing.
Some people just have that old-fashioned yellow mindset, yellow light mindset. They just stuck in that way. But that's not bad because that light required the same amount of electricity that the LED light does, but it put off more. It put off more power. It took more voltage and wattage and amperage to run it versus this LED. So we have to understand that there's a concept of understanding when we're dealing with our people, everybody are on the same playing field, and everybody don't have the same mindset. Everybody ain't coming from the same. We can come from an environment.
Everybody cut from the same cloth.
Everybody's cut from a different cloth,
right?
And that's why our fingerprints are so different, because we all our DNAs, all of our DNAs, even though we still have our mother's and father's DNA, but we still have our own DNA too as we develop too.
Right.
So these things are transmitting. They're like they said, a grandpa could have, let's say, asthma. It can skip 2 generations, and then one of the grandsons will get asthma, or granddaughter get asthma.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows you how that works. You know what I mean? So, or it can hit every generation. It's it just depends.
Or sometimes
it don't hit nobody.
Or sometimes it could just simply be this: neither one of you are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Just different.
It became different.
So you realize, you know what? You walk a certain way, I walk a certain way. We're not walking the same. It's almost like you're talking about even in business, okay? That you understand. So in business, it's all about having the right people on your bus and getting all the wrong people off your bus, okay? Because if you have the wrong people on your bus, they're going to jack things up, right? But if you get people that understand the vision, that are going in the same direction, now you're going to experience some success and some progress along the way. So that's where there's agreement. But oftentimes what people do, we all do this, have done it, I can tell you, you align yourself with the wrong people.
Yeah.
And you welcome HELL into your life. You understand? Because you weren't equal. You weren't on the same level. You weren't on the same wavelength. You thought different. You talk different. You communicate different.
We got a comment. Rhonda said. It's a narcissist trait.
Narcissist trait.
Yeah.
It's a trait.
It's a trait of a narcissist. Narcissists are, if they have their own description, their own qualifications, their own behaviors that are associated with being narcissist, you got to check 5 to 10 of those to really be a real narcissist. Everybody else is just hyperbolic, just using the word just frivolously. And so I don't really count the general usage of the word. When we get to nailing down what that is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's some people are really narcissists. Some people are just
has its traits.
Yeah.
It's like they have the symptoms. It's like a code. It has its symptoms, but it's not the full blood,
I'm
full
careful
body
with
code.
that because most people are.
So what would you consider a narcissist?
You have to check all the boxes.
Right. What are the boxes?
I don't remember all of them.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But there's like disregard for others. You're a little bit psychopathic. Which means you lack empathy. and it's lacking, like to a depth. It's not just on some regular. There's a couple more, but you have to there's a few more, but you have to check enough of those for me to be convinced that, oh yeah, okay, we can call that person a narcissist. The other people are just selfish. And that's what I don't get, because they're not narcissists. They're just selfish. And so how do you what is that where you,
Okay, what's
how
selfish?
can you be selfish?
What's selfish?
Colloquial terminology means that you just don't really have a regard for other people. Like, you're only concerned with things that benefit yourself. The dictionary version of it, I don't know what the dictionary says.
Okay, but I think you're close to it. I mean, that pretty much defines it. Is
So
it?
what's confusing to me then is this disregard for other people. It says it is not just a lack of empathy on the selfish side, but it's not close enough to a narcissist to be a narcissist. So what the fuck?
Well, then you got to go into, some people are groomed to be selfish. Some people is groomed to be selfish. I heard just by watching a lot of things and listening. I heard some of the old time, our mothers in them generation start telling their daughters, "Oh, you don't need no man. You just need to go to get an education." So so their primary goal now is not to focus on a husband or that. Their goal is to focus on getting an education. That's what Kevin Samuel was always attacking. He said, y'all been taught to be groomed to be focusing on not to be married, as the Bible said to be. Y'all focus on getting an education, like that was your ring and that was your marriage. And so we have that type of mindset that went out in our community, and it only affecting our community.
No,
it's starting to affect other communities, but not as rampant and not as bad as ours.
See, for example, right there, where the mom tells the daughter, "Get your money, go to school, get your money." Okay, that's its own problem too. But the one that relates to what we were saying before is like the mom would be vindictive and bitter. The daughter would not be selfish or narcissistic.
But she was groomed to be,
or bitter or anything. She's an innocent person who came into the environment and got taught this stuff. Now she just thinks that's the way life is. But she's not bitter.
But she's perpetuating her mother's bitterness, because
Like,
the mother was bitter.
The daughter bitter though.
No, it doesn't make the daughter bitter. Okay. But she's perpetuating.
How is that?
She's mimicking the mother's bitterness, because that's what the mother had planted in her.
Right.
Hold on. At what point does a daughter take ownership
when she becomes
for to be her bitterness, for when it becomes her bitterness, not just her mother's bitterness? Because there's a point. Okay, as a child, okay, it's something that you're being taught. But when you become an adult, it's something now you own. It's like a mortgage. Okay, at one point you own that house. At some point you own that house.
You have to be aware. Once you become aware
and you reject it, then that's when.
No, you're not rejected. Once you become aware of it, that's when you own it.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about once, if they get to a point where they become aware of it and they know that what was taught wasn't right and they still move forward in it, then they have accepted that we all have a choice in our life to make at a particular point in time in our life. Now, everybody don't get the choice. I ain't gonna say they don't get the choice. Everybody don't come to the reality. I look at it as the bears hibernating. When you look at bears hibernating, when bears go into hibernation, they all don't go in at the same time, and they all don't wake up at the same time. So when the bears who went in late are real fat, they go in fat, and they go in, and even the ones that went in early got fat too. But when they come out, the early bears get out and they get all the food. They fat and fat. So guess what? Now the ones that are coming out narrow and skinny, now they got to try to eat. Guess who's guarding the pond? Guess who's guarding the lake? The big ones that ate and that woke up early. And they like, no, you now when we're done, then you can eat the scraps. And by that time, a lot of the salmon is the one ran upstream, so they had to still catch the scraps of you know. So it just teaches you a lot about understanding how people are. Everybody ain't gonna wake up at the same time. Everybody ain't gonna go into hibernation at the same time. Everybody don't understand the same thing at the same time. But when they do wake up, they got more of a fight on their hands to try to get what they need to get. And that's what that scenario is when I'm talking about the bears. Now they got to fight harder to get what they really need. Now, if these women are taught by their mother or men taught by their fathers how to be this gangster playboy, when we get into that state of mind, once you get older, you have to start realizing, man, well, my uncles and my dad, I'm telling you, wasn't beneficial for me. By that time, some of us have made bad mistakes.
Well, you probably at that point suffered a lot of failed relationships that are an indication of the fact that that teaching them probably wasn't the best.
Yes, and you start having invisible scars that plagues you every time you think, every time you move, you feel them, but even though you don't see them.
And to speak to your point, sometimes what happens, because you both said that you have to be conscious, and you're right. You have to be conscious. You have to know, come to an awareness that that it's a problem. And oftentimes, sometimes people suffer the consequences, and they suffer the consequences, and they suffer the consequences, and suffer the consequences, and never come to an understanding because they've been so busy blaming, instead of understanding why they've had to suffer that same consequence over and over and over and over again. If they had ever stopped and asked the question, wait a minute, is it me? Could I have been the problem, or was it them?
Well, Randa said lack of empathy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
True. Yep.
Did she say any more? Because I can't remember all the qualities.
She said lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy.
But I mean, those are the things that we're dealing with in our society. That I think, hopefully, that they understand that everybody's a light, and everybody is an asset. Whatever you put in is what you're gonna return. Is what you're gonna get in return. Everybody's an asset.
Well, some people are
liabilities.
I'd say some people are liabilities.
But but they truly an asset before they became a liability. They just choose to become to be a liability.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it is because everybody here on this earth serves a purpose. Now it's what their purpose is. They got to figure that out within themselves. Sometimes people don't. They try to build their purposes off of someone else.
You can't do that.
And then when they do, and they finally fail, I'm like, okay, you fail because you're trying to build it off of somebody else's purpose. That's not your purpose. You have to have your own purpose. You got to have your own. These are the things that we deal with. Look. Anything the big cities or entertainers are doing, people here in Omaha wants to mimic it. I'm like, create your own. We don't got to mock everything that you see on TV or see what everybody else is doing. Create your own space, create your own lane. Well, and music today, everybody's sounding the same now. Back in the day, there was so many different originality. Everybody was original. They doing their own thing, Yeah. Well, we know it's a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, but these are the things that our culture got to understand, that we got to stop trying to mimic everything else and be creative. Get back to our creative idea, a creative thing. Go outside. What it is, the problem is that they're not. Remember, we used to go outside. We found play. We made a stick of something, didn't we? But remember, I used to twirl them sticks all the time. I used to love it. I had the broomstick. That was my best friend. And I used to try to twirl that thing, and I carried that thing with me everywhere I went. Knife, remember, stars, did all that. But I was outside, and we created them stars ourselves, didn't we? Right. There wasn't no storage. You go in the store and buy a star. These were metal fragment from a metal shop that we went and got, and we was throwing them like they were stars, and they worked like stars, didn't they? But this is what creativity does to you. Remember, we took our rims off our bikes and made basketball rims out of them. We used to play. we used to have wars. We used to have shingle wars. Remember, throwing shingles at each other. That's how dangerous that used to be. We used to play tackle football on the street. Remember that? Yeah. We created our own lane. You know what I'm saying? We was creative. We used to walk in the woods and thought we was in the jungle. Yeah, I know it. We used to do a lot of weird things.
Very much. Everything except for turning the rim into the basketball hoop. We did every single last one of those things.
Man, we used to make guns out of rubber bands and pop and bottle tops. And, we used to do all kinds of stuff.
Let's finish these off before we get too far lost. Some light provides heat, light, and fragrances. How does this relate to our communities and issues? Now, before that, just so we can get back on track, I want to read 3, and then we're going to go into 4, because 3 pretty much speaks to 4. It says, since you're being used to fulfill a purpose, why does your shape change? So then as we go into 4, some light provide heat, light, and fragrances. How does this relate to our communities and the issues? So when you consider 3, as you go into 4, you understand that each candle has its own unique shape, which means that each candle has its own unique purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So then when you go into 4, you understand how some candles provide heat, some light, some fragrances, because they're unique in nature. They're unique in their purpose
and their ability to do what they're supposed to do.
So then when you understand that you're unique, then when you think and you consider the community, you understand that others are unique as well. Yes. Not just you're unique, but others are unique. So when you understand, when you respect someone's uniqueness, then you respect how you approach them. Yes. And how you interact because of their uniqueness. You don't want to dim their light. You don't want to dim their uniqueness with your uniqueness.
You don't want to take that from them. You know what I mean? You don't want to steal what the light that they have. You know, people are willing to steal something too. That's real. They'll steal your light. Yeah. They'll steal it just for their own glory. That's why they say you get on the stage and you get on stage and try to steal my spotlight.
Well, the part right before that, where you say that you are careful about not taking or diminishing somebody else's light.
Right.
In that position.
Yes.
Like I got a mentee right now, and he worries about every fucking thing. It's crazy. And so I'm kind of guiding him through a process of how to be a proper business owner, what to pay for, why to put it here, why to make the investment over there, when to utilize or leverage your credit to do things, whatever. But it's the personal part that we spend the most time with. It's not even the business stuff. It's not the arts part of it. None of that. And in that whole guiding process, I'm carefully taking out the bullshit and leaving the good there so he can, have the success that he was looking for.
But the personal stuff is the business, because the personal stuff is everything. Whatever you do in your personal life affects you out in your business, affects you in your family, affects in your whole family, affects in your community, affects in your workplace. That's what your personal. So whenever all that, if you line it all up back to personal, everything is personal. Everything you put something forward, you put in a perspective of your personality in it. So it's always going to be personal. Everything you do.
I think that's incorrect. Incorrect because it's an embellishment of what it actually is. When you live in it every day, like I do, the aspect of what you're saying that's actually really true is that the principles that you live your life by is what sets up the principles for your business. So a principle is a rule you live your own personal life by. A standard is an imposition on others. So it's not the standards that do it in the personal and the business side. It's the principles that do it on the personal and the business side.
But if okay, let's look at it like this. So in personal, what you take personal in life, okay, say if I had a broken home, I'm mad, I'm bitter because my dad wasn't there, and I'm mad at my mom for the things she put in front of us. So I go out and I want to start a business. Now my business ideal concept is great, but once I start chilling at it and making it and forming it, I put all these principles and rules and policies in place. But guess what interferes? Guess what creeps up in there? It starts to diminish the business, that personal stuff.
Well, you're both correct. I'm gonna put it like this. Well, Mike B, I gotta make sure it's right. What Mike B is saying is that when you have a vision, there has to be agreement. In other words, when you have a business concept, a business idea, a or anything that doesn't apply to that vision, you have to 86. You got to get rid of it. Okay? You're saying, but what you're saying is that unless you deal with that personal stuff will creep in on the business side and will sabotage the business at the foundation. From its foundation. Yes. That's why I said you're both correct, because yes, you do have to stay focused. Whatever is not, that's not contributing is destroying. But if you don't deal with that stuff that needs to be dealt with, and that's where you have to incorporate discipline.
Yeah,
discipline deals with that.
And you have to incorporate understanding where traumas, because most of the time, the reason why those things creep up, because somebody might have said something that happened to you in the family. Mm-hmm. Somebody might have did a little something that might have triggered something that happened when you was a childhood. Mm-hmm. That's what comes in. It's just like, they always said the plane was able to take off on the plane is on the runway. Right. It's in the room to go. Remember we were talking about that. I said the personal stuff gets in there, and you start to understand what was going on. The flight, the pilot is drinking because he got some personal issue at home, and he's out here got to fly the plane when he can't deal with the person. So now he's drunk. And then you got another person who's supposed to be loading the baggage.
Exactly, and that's it. But see, that goes back. But see that
literal like that.
But see, that goes back.
It's not that a person is the person who is driving the business in a direction, and if that person is in personal jeopardy because of some personal stuff, then yeah, of course. But a business is not a person; it is a system.
Yes.
So the system.
But who is it ran by?
That's what I'm saying. I just acknowledge that. So move it to the next level. That a business is a system.
Yes.
If you didn't create your system based on strong principles, you don't have a business. You don't. If you don't have
well, but you have to.
But what is business?
But Mike B, wouldn't you have to have a culture, a business like culture that's based on principles or discipline?
Increasingly, no.
You have to have a disciplined culture for a business to. Tell me why.
Because increasingly no.
Okay.
Because increasingly, our brick and mortar, where you have to go into a space and be there at a job with a person, is increasingly decreasing. So over time, no.
Okay.
When I worked at TD Ameritrade, they were huge on the culture of the people,
right,
this and that, and this.
Right.
But then when you get down into they give you a handbook.
It doesn't. But just because something's written down doesn't mean people are going to apply it.
Yes.
I'm saying there wasn't. This is how you deal with your personal trauma. It was principle system.
Yeah.
But it takes people to apply those things.
But what you're talking about when they implemented law in the business practice, because they want to know that we already know certain things is going to happen. This is right. If you do this because you could have a fight with one of my employees, we have a low tolerance. So they're putting that in principle.
Look at it this way. Where do rules come from? Rules come about because of undisciplined people, not because of disciplined people.
Yes.
Okay.
No, they come across.
I just said when a new rule comes about, it's because somebody did something they had no business doing. Now it's a new rule. And then more new rules come about. That's what they call red tape. There's a whole lot of red tape because you have people who are undisciplined, who have a lack of integrity, and who are always looking for the easy way out.
And had a lot of issues.
So their lack of integrity, their lack of discipline, eats away at the business, at the vision.
Yes.
So now they have to come up with these rules to say,
to keep the vision alive.
To keep the vision alive, to say, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, you can do this, you can do that.
This is what I was saying.
Okay.
But also, you model your system after the best practices too. Which of you are the shiniest light bulb in the room, right?
Well,
business model the best things after you.
What is the best model?
Wow.
Family.
I disagree with that.
No, family. Hold on, let me tell you.
Okay.
Family is the biggest model because in family there's matriarchs, patriarchs, all that. There's a structure there.
Right.
And if that structure is broken, business and family go hand in hand. That's why they go.
One is a system and one is an organism.
Well, what I'm gonna say is that you can't have a company or a leader that doesn't listen to his people. Okay, if everything goes your way, you will never get better. You need the ideas of others. That's called collaboration. That's called family. So in other words, for a business to function, you have to learn to collaborate. See, selfish people think it's all about them and their idea. That's where selfishness comes in. And that's why businesses go under, because you got a lot of people sitting under you with great ideas, but you won't hear them. And because you won't hear them, they won't share them with you.
I think the other way is more toxic.
Which way?
Where they listen to you and they siphon all the ideas out.
Well, that can happen. You're right. You 100%. That happens.
Remember, I told you a long time ago. It's the difference of having a good ideal and a great ideal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people go after an ideal, because especially our people, we're so behind on the road of success, is that we are trying to take 20 million ideals and try to make them happen at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens with us. And guess what? Out of all them 20 million ideas they have in their head, guess what's behind it? A broken family,
mm-hmm.
a disconnected family, a disconnected relationship,
well,
a disconnected of respect. I'm talking about all that. All is going to filter into the business.
It can. You're 100% right. It can. If you've ever read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins?
No.
Okay.
Good to great.
It's called Good to Great. Talks about how good companies become great companies, and how some companies stay stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about the three circles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The things that you are most passionate about, those things you can be the best at, those things that feed your economic denominator. He said if anything that doesn't feed into the three circles, you get rid of. Okay, so it means that you have to have a very disciplined way of thinking. He says the level 5 leaders operate like that. Level 5 leaders understand the three circles, and everything that does not relate to those three circles, they don't even give the time of day. So when you talk about business acquisitions, if it doesn't apply to the three circles, anything that you can be the best at, anything you be the best in the world at, anything that you're passionate about, and anything that's feeding your economic denominator, you don't acquire that business. And when you're in meetings, anything that doesn't feed those three circles, ideas, if it doesn't feed those three circles, you're getting rid of those things. And that's what I'm talking about, is that you've got to have a mindset of discipline and collaboration, because then it goes back to having the right people on the bus, wrong people off the bus. Then that way you're going to have disagreements, but you're going to have disagreements that are leading forward instead of backward, or even being stagnant, because the disagreements are with purpose, not to deteriorate, but to promote growth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Development, yeah. Yeah, and I would say, Steve Jobs wrote in his book. He was talking about the function of business, and remember, he was the worst boss there was. Remember, he talked about how bad of a boss he was. He broke it down, said that it was due to the relationship he had with his father. It was the relationship he had with his father. He brought that into the business.
You're comporting two different concepts together.
No, that's what he said in his business.
I'm talking about your overarching point is that everything runs back to the family. I got that. I understand that. What I'm telling you is that there is a separation between the two.
There is no separation. I don't know what we had this conversation numerous times. There's no separation.
Okay, I want to. What do you mean?
Hold on. There is no separation between business and family.
There is
When
no
there's
separation between
when there's family, there's business. When there's business, there's family. That's why the biggest corporations in this world today are ran by families. They have the family legacy. They run on the family legacy. That's what they're doing. The Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Chase, they're all them. They're all family. They all built their business off of family structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said. Read every last one of their books. They tell you it's all built on family structure and passing down the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. But they demand a certain respect, even though the children got out of control. The new generations got like this thing, like Mike is saying, oh, we don't believe it. This is different. No, it's no.
No,
The old ones said no. This is what kept the business alive until y'all start coming in and start changing up the principles. I'm telling you, that's what happened. I'm being honest.
That's not what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying this thing that other people are talking about. I have a very intimate insight into what I'm talking about.
I do business all the time.
Okay.
I know.
Doing business is not the same as building one.
Okay.
No, people not,
Here's a difference. Here's one very clear difference between what you're talking about and what I'm talking about.
well, you showed me a business that you made that is successful that I can mimic.
It's your intimate emotional connectivity to the thing.
No, you got to show me.
It's one of the things.
Because no, the problem is when we talk about business.
Let me finish my sentence.
Okay, but hold on. When we talk about business, let me tell you something. When I talk about business, I'm not going to talk about from my what I say. I want to see it, because if I ask someone to go to you for a business proposition, I want you to be able to show them that your business is successful so they can mimic. Yeah. Because when I'm talking about Steve Jobs, I'm talking about the Rothschild.
$1 trillion companies that nobody has the opportunity to replicate. That's why I don't pay attention to those, because they're exceptions beyond the exceptions.
Well,
what's normal is you're looking at one. You can't tell. I'm trying to tell you the difference between that and this.
Okay, I want to hear you.
Okay.
One of the main differences between your concept of a family that turns into a business and then there's legacy, that's very legitimate. Wells Fargo, Walmart, and the rest of these giants are out here, but they started in an era that allowed for them to do that. They were built on family principles, and those family principles matriculated over the years. Mm-hmm. Now it is us that's learning their family principles. When we go into their establishment, we have to operate by their rules. What I'm saying to you is that's not necessary anymore. I own 4 of these that don't have anything to do with family. It is just that I built a system that spits out a result. And for me, that result is money. I don't need whatever that is to stand as a legitimate business, because I tested the first one because I didn't believe it was real either. Until it kept bringing me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. You don't want more people to replicate that? If the answer is no, I think that's stupid. You should want more of us to have more of these systems that spit out positive results for ourselves, because we actually need that in order to calm the environment down. In other words, say buy a piece of land, then create a family there, then maybe that company gets big like Wells Fargo or Walmart or Apple or whatever. And now it is us matriculating into the future that's causing people to interact with our things. So we're before the foundational part. You're talking about companies that existed in a time that didn't have these impediments in their way. I'm before the foundation, is what I'm saying. You need a principle system first. You need some rules. You need, like, don't stick your finger in the socket. Don't stick your hand on the stove. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't wear shoes. Don't
you get all them principles in the family?
You don't have. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But these are the precursors for the system you need to provide the space to build the family. Otherwise, we keep doing what we're doing, which is getting to a point and breaking down. Getting to a point and breaking down. Getting to a point, there's a problem with that.
With no foundation?
Yeah, there's
Is that what you're saying?
There's no feet. There's nothing.
To sustain the building.
Yeah.
Well, it is, because the family has been the business, and it has been the root of how to create the business and the structure and the rules. The same rules, the same structure, the same dynamics is already there growing up. Now, how it got broken, that is what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. But if everybody went back and fixed what was broken, and then go out and create the business establishments and all the things that they want, because most of the time when most businesses are started, they started with a few of family members or the immediate family working with them, working under them, or working as workers, and then they started branching out, start hiring other people in. And That's how it all started. But there had to be some discipline. All these Chinese restaurants, all these mid-K, you walk in and they got their own family working in there. And guess what? And they strict and they disciplined about their work. And they know the rules.
Right?
They know the rules from at home and they apply it in the business. That's what makes it the foundation, because you don't have to make all those. I guarantee if you go into family, you go into the Chinese restaurants, they ain't got no rules for each other. There ain't no manual book on each other. I guarantee they don't got no manual book to each other.
Because they're disciplined.
They already know the discipline.
That's my point. That's what I said earlier.
That's what I was trying to talk about, because they got it at home. It all started at home. So when they went here, it's flourishing.
Well, what you're talking about a cultural carryover into the business.
Right.
Yeah. And what you said earlier.
Yes.
We have.
And
ours is like.
Well, because we're broken. That's because we're broken. That's why.
But see, this is the thing though. Again, you're talking about a broken culture, but a broken culture that's fully capable of being repaired. But it takes, and as we've said many times over, okay, choice.
Well, there's more than just choice. I don't want to just say choice. Okay, we got to deal with all the other aspects of that. That's why I sent you those videos, because I want you to look at them, because we can't just say choice.
What I'm saying,
we got to hold on. We can't just keep saying choice, because that's not going to work. Choice is not the only option. There's other things that we got to look into. We got to look into the mental health, which all of it scientifically, because we want to say spiritual and stay up here. No, we got to come. All things line up to God. When God gave us the tools, he gave us the greatest tool. He said, y'all going to be like, y'all are God, and y'all going to do greater works than me. He's talking about all the things that we're going to establish and we're going to understand to understand how we're going to be able to fix each other and help each other. So we have to understand when we're trying to help each other, we got to look deeper into just choices. Choices is the big thing that we do have to have, but we also have to be non-biased to the exception to the rules.
That's
true. Exception to the things that's going on. We have people who's substance abusing, which is a choice. We know that. But since they made that choice, now they don't have a choice, because they don't know how to make good choices no more, because chemical imbalance now, because now they're dependent on something to fluctuate their body. So now we got to get them back stable. We got to stabilize them to get back to the point where they can make good sound choices. Then we got those who are mental health, who came from bad environments, which is home, like you said, brokenness, trauma and all these other things. So now we got to deal with those issues.
Would you call this a vicious cycle? This is what.
Yeah. But this is the thing that we have to. This is why we're having these conversations, because these are the things that.
So if it's a vicious cycle, at what point do you violate that cycle?
Exactly.
What we're trying to do is get everybody to agree that there is a problem. See, the first no, everybody don't know that. Everybody walking around here acting like there is no problem.
Well, because what I'm saying is
that's what we're talking about, light.
Right, but again, but even perfect example. Okay, as much as we're not bringing up no names here, but as much as we try to communicate with one particular individual, okay,
many of them. No, we don't say many of them.
Okay, as many as we try to communicate, okay, and try to bring to light. Trying to be patient, compassionate,
fishing,
empathetic,
fishing,
using different bait,
fishing.
Okay?
Yep.
Determined.
Takes time.
Dig your heels in. Okay? And it's like, okay, it's like a drug addict, an alcoholic. Okay? Till they hit rock bottom. Okay? I don't care how many schools you send them to, how many drug rehabs you send them to. They're going to go in and out like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again until they lose that one thing that's going to cause them to say, you know what? Now I want to change. So for some people, it's a husband, a wife, a child, money, jobs, health, whatever it is. And for everybody, it's different. Yes. But whatever it is,
something's going to break them down.
Until they're broken, they're not ready.
And guess what? That's why I sent you that video of the barge. I don't know if you watched it yet, but when you get a chance to watch that. The thing about people, and I'm very hard on people too, especially if I'm trying to talk to them and trying to help them through it. But the thing is, I was stubborn at one point in time. You know it. I was super stubborn. I had to figure and bump my head. I had to go through what I had to go through. Guess what? I am able to sit here to this day and give somebody something that I can reach guys that you wouldn't at least think I can reach because of my experiences. I can sit in a room and have a conversation with a hardcore killer just because experiences. Even though I might not kill the way he killed, but I can have that conversation where he can relate to me and I can say something to that person, and it's going to bring out, it's going to help that, it's going to make that person. I watched grown men humble men older than me that's big, who got way worse scars than I have, and I sit there and have a conversation when I see a man break down and cry. And just because we sit there having the conversation, oh man, you hit me deep, man. You making me think about stuff I didn't think about. Oh, woo, man, I appreciate that, man. I'm talking about these are hardcore men, hardcore gangsters. These are guys who's good with their hands, they're good with guns, they're good whatever you want to give. They're good with that. But it's always, and guess what? Once you break through the mental state where they at, then once you start to build that relationship, then you can offer them the choice that they need to make to change. Now, that takes some time.
Takes time.
It doesn't happen overnight. And yes, we might think, okay, we don't have enough time on the earth. We don't have enough time. It ain't for us to judge that time, because that time ain't ours. But what we can do, be what we just talking about today, the light. Regardless if we are burnt up and out of shape and everything, but we're still able to I'm going to a man when I'm like a burnt up candle and sit down and talk, and he probably looking at me like, oh man, he ain't who he is. He all burnt up, all that shit. But then when we start hearing my story and hearing my testimony, guess what? He gonna say, I see why you burnt up like that. I respect you. That's what we have to do. And that's what choices, that's when you can give them a chance to make the choice. It takes that relationship to understand where they're at mentally, because a lot of these people aren't strong as you is. They ain't got what you got. You was blessed to have what you got. You was teaching me at a young age. I didn't get it when I was going through it, because I guess what I was looking at? What was going on in my house. I couldn't see past what was going on in the house to hear what you were saying at that time. But when I got older, something else happened. Other things started transpiring. Now, it ain't just one thing that happened. I'm telling you, it's a domino effect of things happening for me to actually see it. Then when one incident happened that took a life of a man, one of my brothers, and when I had to sit there and bear witness to that, and then I was accused of that, it still didn't wake me up right away. It still went 5, 6, 7 years before it actually happened. So that's why I say I know what it takes. We just need the conglomerate of understanding with the warmth from the candle, the fragrance that you put out, and the light that you bring. If you can do all three of those things, I guarantee you we're going to have a successful community. We're going to have a successful family. And it's hard because we fishing every day. We luring, we throwing stuff in the water to lure them in. We putting on bait on the hook, and then we got to keep changing bait because this bait ain't working. We frustrated, and we throwing out nets, nothing. We pulling it back. We pulling the seaweed and sticks and stone, But guess what? We're still working. We're still soldiering in the land of soldiers, broken soldiers. We still got to not leave a man behind, because that's not our goal. Our goal and our mission is to do for the willing as we do for the ungrateful. Everybody's not grateful enough to take a lot of our thing, but guess what? It ain't for us, because at the end of the day, what is our reward? What are we looking for in the greatest reward? We're looking for our Heavenly Father say, good, I thank you, my loving precious servant. That's all I'm looking for. So I know these people. I deal with them every day. Every day. They are selfish. They are the most rudest. They're the most dysfunction, hurt, bitter. Man, I'm talking about everything. You be sitting. I'll be sitting there like, man, I just can't believe. I'll be trying to talk to them every day. Every time I have a meeting with them, in this little meeting room right here, I tell them in the meeting before I get started. I say I like Christ, but I do not like the Christ in none of y'all. I tell them that before I start the whole meeting. I say that every time. They'll tell you. Ask me them elders. I tell them this all the time. I like Christ, but I don't like the Christ in y'all. I say, y'all my elder. I'm supposed to be looking up to y'all. Y'all have not given me anything to look up to. The way y'all carry yourself and conduct yourself towards each other. Y'all in this small little community, y'all hate each other, bitter, and talk about each other right in front of each other's face, and then ready to fight each other and I said, how do y'all do that? Y'all old, y'all barely can walk. Y'all on diabetes, y'all taking all this medicine and all that, and y'all got that much hatred towards each other. What medicine y'all really need? Y'all need medicine that cures the love, put the love back in your heart. That all that medicine that's darkening your spirits. I said, come on. I said, we got to do better. I said, those who know better do better. And this is the thing that that's what I'm talking about when I brought the light thing up. Because I shared this with them Friday before I posted it here. And I told them to tune in. This is why. But this is why, if we're going to establish, when this company, MP Dodge, started their company, I can show you the mission statement. It says, we are family, we operate as a family, we think as a family, we do as a family. But guess what? Do they operate and do the things that they say their mission statement do? They went against that because the older elders, it's the new generation that took over. So their mindset is money, 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 money. So they forget the traditions of what the business was built on and why it's been here for over 80-something years, almost 70-something years, I think it was.
They lost contact with their why for being in business.
Yes, they lost that. So now they can't get no help. Now you losing people. Now it was never heard of before.
No, there's a concerted effort. It's a marketing strategy. Literally, a marketing firm came up with. There is no bigger marketing firm than maybe about $50 million marketing firm. They purposefully said, hey, companies, use the word family so that you can attract more people that like to work for their family. Mm-hmm. Before that didn't exist. So any company doing that here and now today, it's just
a ploy.
Yeah, a ploy. It's a bug that they infused into the
Randa said, do they all share the same vision?
That's important.
And that's the point of the vision. Mm-hmm. When a lot of people come together and they don't share the same vision, they don't share the same concepts, the same perspective. They don't share the same discipline. You're gonna have an unbalanced,
yes, and
you're gonna have it unequally yoked,
right?
And then you're gonna have a business
conflict.
It's gonna fail before it even get off the ground.
Yep.
And that's what you see in the Black community. A lot of small businesses fail, not just because of just bad practices, not having the economic base, not having the greed, or one person wants to do it all, or they don't have the community backing them up or supporting them. Is because either when the community was supporting them, they said their favorite they was known for catfish and this. And you go there, they don't got no catfish. Oh, you just substitute with whitey. So the lack of communication, the lack of getting the resources, some of the things they didn't networking properly, so they can't get what they need, because you should have more than one band of network. So if this catfish supplier ain't supplying, you should have 3 or 4 more, so you can make sure you have that product, because that's the product that people's coming in to buy.
I think that's the problem more than anything else. But I think it's an all or bust mentality from our consumer base. If you're not Walmart, then we think you're a piece of shit. And there's so much in between. I'm in between. I ain't fucking Walmart. No, your way is not the right way. This ain't Burger King. No, the customer is not always right. These are marketing strategies. These are narratives. These are narratives that trained us to think that now, if we go into the Black, there's only about 2,500 to 3,000 Black-owned businesses in Omaha. They're not all failing. That's a myth. That's another myth. But the ones that are there, we're treating those businesses like shit, which is causing them to adapt to us treating them like shit.
Well, like I said,
the main reason why a lot of our businesses do fail is because they lack some part of their system. The part that most of us lack is the customer service part, which is weird, right?
Wait, that's what I said. You can't have. You let guys walk in there. You let people come in your business with the pants and stuff hanging off them. That destroys their attitude. So if you ain't gonna make them dress to occasion, to dress to the business, because if your pants is hanging off, your shirt big, that's your mentality. That's the mentality you're gonna have in the business. if you're not smiling or trying or happy being a servant,
courteous,
able to assist people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even put out comment cards. In Black community, they don't even put out comment cards. They don't even want to hear feedback.
How much stuff? How much money that costs?
Well,
They're all small businesses.
but see,
They're
but
all
yeah,
making
but
underneath
see,
$100,000
now,
a year,
now,
and they all have to pay multiple
but then, depending on who you ask, okay, like we said earlier, some people think that it's okay to be that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just
They're just, or I'm just being myself. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you're not considering what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay. You're trying to run a business, and they want you to deal with their emotions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, you know, because when I went through the interview, they didn't say any of that.
Yes.
Once I didn't got the job, now I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. You don't understand. I can't come to work. Or you don't understand. I can't work that day. Can't work this day.
Man.
Well, then you don't have a job because we got a business to run.
Yes.
Okay. We need people who are going to be here. Okay. If you can't be here, then we're going to have to let you go. You see what I'm saying? Because why? You can't allow the whole business to go under because you got individuals who want to be individuals and want the world to revolve around them.
And you know what? And some people believe that.
Is that a fact?
And some people believe that that's your vision, it's not my vision. So they come in with that attitude.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of the problems too.
Yep. So if they realize, if you made it clear in the interview what your vision is, what the business is about, and they say, oh yeah, I really want to work here, and this is why I want to work here, and blah, 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 right? They blow smoke up your butt, then they get the job, and then they're already calling in, and their auntie died like 10 times.
Or I'm sick. Or I got my kids are sick.
I mean, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I was telling somebody
my dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta do work.
I was telling somebody the other day, and this is, you know, something that's affected me, you know, is that I remember I was 18 and I was working at this business called this restaurant, and I was a manager, and it made me never want to be in management.
Oh, man.
Because after making schedules and dealing with people and people calling in with all their freaking excuses and not having any time to myself, I'd be in the movies, have to leave to go lock up the store because somebody had left early or need to leave early or babysitting this or that or sick or my stomach hurt, my head hurts and all of that. It's just like, you know what I said? And this goes back to what you were talking about, selfish. It's like, you know what? I just want to be responsible for me. I don't want to be responsible for anybody else.
Hey, remember I told you I stopped being foreman.
Yeah.
I got tired of being in management. I'm tired of being in management because you're always babysitting. You always and then when you try to discipline, you got other people higher than you. Undermining you right in front of them. So a lot of that stuff takes place. But you know what? But like I said, you know, business or you know, we can always agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I believe family is where business concept came from. I don't.
There's no disagreement there. There's no disagreement.
And I believe they go hand in hand. I just believe that there's a difference, like you said. There's a structural difference, but they come under the same concept.
Yes, I mean I agree. I mean at the end of the day, we talk about relationships. Businesses that have like a family structure, a family culture, they can grow. Yeah. I mean tremendously, and they can grow fast. But it's a matter of getting that culture in place, that discipline culture in place. Yes. In other words, you cannot run an effective business that's ran by rules.
Yes.
An effective business has to be ran by discipline.
Yes.
Because when people are disciplined, when you hire disciplined people, you get a disciplined culture. Yes. When you hire undisciplined people, now you have to run your business by rules. Well, you know what rules are made for, right? They're made to be broken. That's what people say. That's how people think. Yes. Okay, so therefore, you have a lot of people sitting there and they don't feel like being at work today. That's coming across to the customer when the customer comes in.
Mm-hmm.
They having a bad attitude. They slouching in their seat. You ask them a question, they barely want to answer your question. They don't want to reach out and help you. You know, I mean,
arguing with family, arguing with their girlfriend,
or they on the phone.
Listen, mad at the kids. All that affects the business.
All that affects business. And so again, yes.
I think there are multiple concepts of what business is in the room.
Yeah, but like I said, but the only.
I don't agree with anything either one of you.
But only business I've seen successful.
They're real because I've seen those too, but I don't agree with that. I think there's like a 1980s one. There's a 1985 version. It's like we're talking about different business models, and I studied the business models so I can see them. But no, that doesn't apply right now.
Well, question, because even if you started when they started off, go by where they started off, and then then it went how it went further down the line. Now they first started off with probably just family interactions, family hiring of family. Then it got to the point where some families say, I don't.
A rich man's world.